Dennis Johnson died the most tragic death, and it uncovered a lot of things that left people shocked. One of the biggest surprises was a disturbing domestic incident from way back in 1997 that most had never heard about. It really shook fans to the core. But that wasn't all. Rumors about drug use also started to surface, and many were in complete denial. For someone who always came across as strong and steady, these revelations were hard to believe. So here's how it all unfolded.
DJ can be so valuable without even scoring points. He knows what it takes during a game to win.
Dennis Johnson is as competitive as Larry Bird.
On February 22nd, 2007, Dennis Johnson tragically passed away at just 52 years old. He had just finished a practice session with the Austin Toros, the NBA Development League team he was coaching. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Right after practice, Johnson suddenly collapsed. Paramedics rushed to the scene and found him unconscious and in full cardiac arrest. They worked on him for 23 long minutes, trying everything they could to revive him. But sadly, by the time he reached the hospital, it was too late. He was pronounced dead, leaving the basketball world stunned and heartbroken. But as tragic as his passing was, what followed in the days and weeks afterward took many by surprise. Behind the image of the tough, clutch player known for his leadership and defensive grit, a darker and more complicated picture began to emerge. One of the most shocking revelations was tied to a police report from way back in 1997. It involved a serious domestic incident between Johnson and his wife, Donna. According to the report, filed by their son, Dwayne, things got heated during an argument at home. The situation reportedly escalated to the point where Johnson allegedly grabbed Donna in a choking manner while holding a knife. The incident was deeply disturbing, but back then, it didn't get much attention. And even when some media outlets mentioned it after Johnson's death, they often described it vaguely, using phrases like a messy domestic abuse incident, leaving out the full details. Then another part of Johnson's past resurfaced, this time involving drugs. Former Phoenix Suns teammate Johnny High brought up that Johnson had once been named in a drug-related investigation. According to secret grand jury documents from 1987, several Suns players had allegedly been involved in a drug scandal, and Johnson's name came up. This bombshell was based on confidential court testimony, and while nothing was ever proven against him, it was enough to stir conversation. Johnson himself firmly denied all of it. He always insisted he had never touched cocaine or any other illegal substances. For many fans, these revelations were hard to process. Dennis Johnson was a three-time NBA champion, a Finals MVP, and someone remembered for hitting big shots and locking down opponents. But like so many public figures, his life off the court had layers that most never saw. But it's only fair that we remember Dennis Johnson for his achievements and the incredible moments he gave us, rather than just focusing on the dark chapters. So get ready, because we're about to take a deep dive into where it all started. When Dennis Johnson entered the NBA in 1976, few predicted the journey he was about to take. Drafted in the second round by the Seattle Supersonics, DJ wasn't a flashy pick. He signed a modest 4-year deal, making $45,000 in his rookie season. Back then, he was just a backup guard behind veterans Slick Watts and Fred Brown, and he averaged 9.2 points and 1.5 assists. The Sonics missed the playoffs, and head coach Bill Russell stepped down. The next season started rough. Seattle lost 17 of its first 22 games. That led to another coaching change, bringing in Hall of Famer Lenny Wilkens. Wilkens saw something in Johnson and made him a starter, pairing him with new acquisition Gus Williams. It turned out to be a brilliant move. Johnson flourished, bumping up his stats to 12.7 points and 2.8 assists, while becoming known for his powerful dunks. During this time, announcer Bob Blackburn gave him the nickname DJ to help distinguish him from teammates John Johnson and Vinnie Johnson. The Sonics turned their season around and made the 1978 playoffs. They went on a Cinderella run, knocking off the Lakers, Blazers, and Nuggets, before facing the Washington Bullets in the NBA Finals. DJ made history in Game 3, blocking 7 shots, a finals record for a guard, but he struggled badly in Game 7, going 0 for 14 from the field. The Sonics lost the championship, and Johnson admitted he choked, but he also said that game taught him what it took to become great. He bounced back with a vengeance. In 1979, Seattle returned to the finals, again against the Bullets. This time, they finished the job. DJ was the standout, averaging nearly 23 points in the series and scoring 32 in a huge Game 4 overtime win. He was named NBA Finals MVP. That same season, he made his first All-Star game and All-Defensive First Team. He had officially arrived. The next season, he took another step forward, posting 19 points and 4.1 assists per game and earning All-NBA second-team honors. But the Sonics fell short in the Western Conference Finals to the Lakers. Despite all the talent Seattle had, DJ later called that loss one of the toughest of his career. Off the court, his relationship with Coach Wilkins began to sour. By season's end, the Sonics traded Johnson to the Phoenix Suns for Paul Westphal. Seattle's record dropped by 22 wins the next year. Clearly, they missed DJ. In Phoenix, Johnson became a top-scoring option. Over 3 seasons, he averaged between 14 and 20 points per game, made 2 All-Star games, and earned first-team All-NBA honors once. His defense remained elite, with 3 straight all-defensive first-team nods. The Suns had some playoff success early on, reaching the Western semis twice. But things unraveled in his final season. DJ again clashed with his coach, John McLeod, and the Suns traded him to Boston for Rick Roby. Phoenix, like Seattle, got significantly worse without him. Around that time, Johnson's name was mentioned in a drug scandal involving the Suns, but he strongly denied any involvement. By the time DJ arrived in Boston in 1983, the Celtics had a strong core: Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish, but they lacked a defensive stopper in the backcourt. Johnson, a perennial all-defensive team selection, was brought in to change that. He called it a dream come true and admired GM Red Auerbach's leadership. Now on his 3rd team, DJ reinvented himself again. Once a dunking guard in Seattle and a scorer in Phoenix, he took on a playmaker role in Boston. In his first season, he helped lead the Celtics to the 1984 finals against the Lakers. The rivalry was fierce, and DJ's defense on Magic Johnson was a turning point. He frustrated the Lakers star into uncharacteristic mistakes, and the Celtics won the series in 7 games. The next year, Johnson stepped up again, averaging nearly 17 points and over 7 assists, and hitting a buzzer beater in Game 4 of the finals. But the Lakers got their revenge, winning in 6. DJ called that loss one of the hardest of his career. In 1986, the Celtics returned to the finals, facing the Houston Rockets and their twin towers, Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon. Led by Larry Bird, the Celtics took the title in 6 games. DJ earned his 3rd championship ring, continuing to play stellar defense and make clutch plays. In 1987, Johnson had one of the most memorable playoff moments of his career. In the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pistons, Larry Bird made a legendary steal and passed to DJ for a last-second layup to win Game 5. Johnson later said it was his favorite play of all time. He also had a heated back and forth with Pistons forward Dennis Rodman in the series. Though the Celtics won that battle, they lost the war, falling to the Lakers in the finals. Over the next few years, the Celtics aged and began to decline. DJ's stats dipped and injuries piled up, especially to Bird. The Celtics were bounced early in the playoffs from 1988 to 1990. Still, Johnson remained a reliable veteran presence. In his final season at age 35, he stepped back into the starting role when needed and earned the respect of teammates and coaches. After the Celtics didn't re-sign him in 1991, DJ retired. At his ceremony, Magic Johnson called him the best backcourt defender of all time. Larry Bird said DJ was the best teammate he ever had. That wraps up today's video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe so you're always in the loop, and drop a comment below to share your thoughts. Horrifying end. That's what some called it. But for Darryl Dawkins, the truth was even worse. His funeral was packed with mourners. They came to say goodbye to the man who shattered backboards with thunderous dunks. The gentle giant who changed basketball forever was gone too soon. The doctors said heart attack. He was only 58, but that simple explanation doesn't tell the whole story of what really happened to one of basketball's most electric personalities. Darryl Dawkins changed basketball forever with his power and style. He was the first to jump from high school straight to the pros. His dunks broke glass and changed how the game was played. His larger-than-life personality made him a fan favorite everywhere he went. But how did a legend like this end up like that? How did the man they called Chocolate Thunder fall so far from his pedestal? The answers reveal a tragic pattern that started long before his final heartbeat. In August 2015, Darryl Dawkins died at just 58 years old. It happened in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where he had settled after his playing days. The news shocked basketball fans around the world. His family announced he had suffered a heart attack. He left behind his wife Janice and their children Dara, Tabitha, Nicholas, and Alexis. The basketball community lost an icon. His family lost their foundation. Basketball fans everywhere felt the loss deeply. His death hit the NBA community especially hard. Players, coaches, and executives shared stories about his kindness and humor. They talked about his powerful dunks that changed the game. When Moses Malone died just 17 days later, It scared people. The NBA Players Association quickly started a heart screening program for retired players. Two legends gone so quickly raised serious questions about player health after retirement. But what the media never fully explained was how Dawkins' body had been breaking down for decades. His physical decline started way back in the 1980s, long before most fans noticed anything wrong. The damage began long before his final day. Years of physical play, injuries, and personal struggles took their toll on the man who once seemed indestructible on the court. In 1975, Darryl Dawkins made history when the Philadelphia 76ers drafted him. He came straight from Maynard Evans High School in Orlando. No college games, no waiting, just a teenager with incredible physical gifts thrown directly into the professional spotlight. He needed to make money fast. His family was poor. The NBA offered a way out of poverty, not just for him, but for his loved ones too. This financial pressure would shape many of his career decisions. People quickly noticed his power. He got the nickname Chocolate Thunder because of his monster dunks. Even in a league full of athletes, Dawkins stood out. His combination of size, strength, and explosive power was rare. In November 1979, he did something that changed basketball rules forever. He shattered a backboard with a dunk against the Kansas City Kings. Just weeks later, he did it again against the San Antonio Spurs. The second one was even more dramatic, sending glass flying everywhere and forcing the game to be delayed. The NBA had to make changes because of him. They created breakaway rims that would bend instead of break. They also made rules against dunks that might break the glass. Dawkins literally forced the league to redesign its equipment because of his raw power. Dawkins embraced his role as an entertainer. He named his most famous slam the Chocolate Thunder Flying, Robinzine Crying, Teeth Shaking, Glass Breaking, Rump Roasting, Bun Toasting, Wham Bam, Glass Breaker I Am Jam. This ridiculous name showed his flair for promotion and fun. During the 1977 NBA Finals, Dawkins showed his wild side. He got into a fight during Game 2 against the Portland Trail Blazers. The incident revealed another side of his personality, his struggle to control his emotions under pressure. It started when he fell hard to the floor with Bobby Gross. Then Maurice Lucas of Portland sucker punched Dawkins from behind. The cheap shot enraged the young player. Violence erupted on the court as players from both teams joined the fray. In the chaos, Dawkins swung back but accidentally hit his own teammate, Doug Collins. Collins needed 4 stitches above his right eye. The friendly fire made the situation even worse for Philadelphia. Both Dawkins and Lucas got ejected from the game, but Dawkins wasn't done expressing his anger. His fury had just begun, and what happened next would become part of NBA legend. He stormed into the 76ers locker room and lost control. He tore a toilet right off the wall, ripping it from its plumbing. He ripped out a row of lockers, bending metal with his bare hands. Then he used one of the lockers to barricade himself inside the room, refusing to come out. Today, a player would face huge fines and a long suspension for this kind of behavior. Their reputation would be permanently damaged. But back then, it just made his legend grow bigger. Fans and media loved the wild story of the young star's rampage. The Sixers lost that game. They eventually lost the series too. The incident showed Dawkins had incredible strength but questionable judgment, a pattern that would repeat throughout his career. Dawkins' career was full of ups and downs. His biggest problem was foul trouble. His aggressive style of play regularly put him on the wrong side of referees' whistles. He holds the NBA record for the most personal fouls in one season, 386 fouls in 1983-84. No one has ever come close to breaking this record. It stands as a testament to both his physical style and his lack of defensive discipline. In just 2 seasons, 1982 to 1984, he fouled out of 44 games. That's more than a quarter of all games he played. When the referee called that 6th foul, Dawkins had to leave the court, unable to help his team in crucial moments. For comparison, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's single-season high for foul-outs was just 7 games. Despite playing nearly 350 fewer games than Michael Jordan, Dawkins accumulated 1 more personal foul in his career. Despite this problem, he was an amazing shooter when he stayed on the court. His field goal percentage was .599 in the 1982-83 season, ranking 3rd in the league. When he got the ball near the basket, he was nearly unstoppable. But his foul trouble forced him to play too carefully. Coaches had to limit his minutes to avoid early disqualifications. He couldn't be aggressive when his team needed him most. Often, he would pick up quick fouls and spend long stretches on the bench. The critics said he lacked discipline. They said he never learned to play defense without fouling. This reputation followed him from team to team throughout his career. In 1985, Dawkins suffered a career-changing injury that would begin his physical decline. He slipped in his bathtub and seriously hurt his back. Such a mundane accident would forever alter his basketball trajectory. he never fully recovered from this injury. He needed 2 major back surgeries in just 2 years. The operations left him with chronic pain and limited mobility. The explosive power that defined his early career began to fade. During the 1986-87 season, the injury limited him to just 6 games. Teams started seeing him as damaged goods. His value in the league plummeted as his health problems persisted. He got traded multiple times. First to the New Jersey Nets, then to the Utah Jazz, and finally to the Detroit Pistons. Each move was because teams saw him as injury-prone. No franchise wanted to build around a player with such serious health concerns. His body was breaking down, but his personal life was suffering too. The physical challenges coincided with emotional ones, creating a perfect storm of difficulties. While playing for the Detroit Pistons from 1987 to 1989, Dawkins faced a devastating personal loss. His estranged wife died unexpectedly. The details of their relationship remain private, but the impact on Dawkins was profound. We don't know many details about this relationship, but we do know it hit him hard. Friends reported he struggled with grief while trying to manage his career and ongoing injuries. During his time with the Pistons, he played only 14 games over 2 seasons. The combination of his back injuries and personal grief kept him off the court. He was physically and emotionally unable to perform at the level expected of NBA players. This tragedy added emotional pain to his physical struggles. The timing couldn't have been worse, as he was already fighting to save his NBA career amid mounting health problems. Many basketball experts feel Dawkins never lived up to his potential. Despite being 6 feet 11 inches and incredibly strong, he never averaged even 9 rebounds per game. For a player of his size and athletic ability, his statistics often disappointed. Critics unfairly compared him to Wilt Chamberlain, another dominant big man. Dawkins himself once admitted, "I could never be Wilt." Wilt's much taller. He recognized the unfair expectations placed on him because of his physical gifts. People called him more showman than player. They focused on his dunks and personality instead of his full game. The backboard-breaking moments overshadowed his complete contributions to basketball. The Philadelphia 76ers traded him in 1982. 9 months later, they won the NBA championship without him. The timing suggested he wasn't necessary for team success. In his final NBA season, the Detroit Pistons waived him in February 1989. 4 months later, they won the title. Again, his former team achieved ultimate success immediately after his departure. Twice, teams won championships right after getting rid of him. This added to the narrative that he wasn't a winner. Fair or not, it became part of his legacy. The entertaining player who couldn't contribute to championship teams. But Darryl Dawkins never quit on basketball. After his NBA career ended, he kept playing. His love for the game never diminished, even when his body couldn't perform at the highest level. He went overseas to play in Italy. He joined the Harlem Globetrotters for a while. He played in smaller leagues like the Continental Basketball Association. He refused to walk away from the sport that had defined his life. In all, his professional basketball career lasted 25 seasons. He finally retired in 2000 at age 43. Few players show such longevity and determination to continue playing despite diminished abilities and opportunities. Then he became a coach. He led the Pennsylvania Valley Dogs to a championship in the United States Basketball League. He also coached at Lehigh Carbon Community College. He found ways to stay connected to basketball even when he couldn't play. Throughout his later years, he served as an NBA ambassador. He worked with charities like Autism Speaks and the Special Olympics. He used his fame to help others, showing a generosity of spirit that defined his post-playing days. Dawkins went pro to escape poverty and help his family. By 1982, he had signed a 5-year deal with the 76ers worth about $700,000 per year. This was significant money in that era and fulfilled his goal of financial security. While he made millions during his career, life after basketball wasn't always easy. He sometimes worked odd jobs like waiting tables, driving trucks, and coating pipes. The transition from NBA star to regular life proved challenging at times, but he eventually found stability through coaching and community work. He reinvented himself as a mentor and ambassador for the game. His infectious personality and love for basketball served him well in these roles. After Dawkins died in 2015, and Moses Malone followed just days later, the NBA finally took action. The Players Association launched mobile heart screening programs for retired players. These tragedies finally pushed the league to address long-standing health concerns. But for Dawkins, this help came much too late. His body had been worn down by years of physical play, injuries, and the strain of professional sports. The toll of being a power player in the NBA had accumulated over decades. For a man who had revolutionized the game with his power, his heart couldn't keep up with the damage done to his body. The irony wasn't lost on those who remembered him breaking backboards with ease in his youth. His death certificate said heart attack. But the real story was about a body that broke down piece by piece over decades. The official cause of death was just the final chapter in a long physical decline. His career was electric but chaotic, and the physical toll lasted until his final breath. The same strength that made him famous ultimately contributed to his early death. Chocolate Thunder changed basketball forever. His dunks made the NBA change its rules. He opened the door for high school players to enter the draft. He entertained millions with his power and personality. But while he gave everything to the game gave him nothing back in the end. No championships, no lasting security, no health support until it was too late. If you want to hear more about forgotten legends like Darryl Dawkins, hit subscribe. At 71, Gus Williams died a tragic death after a prolonged 5-year health battle. The basketball community lost the Wizard on January 15th, 2025, following complications from a stroke he suffered in February 2020. His health had gotten worse quickly in his final days, with family members noting he endured considerable suffering before passing away in Baltimore. For many fans, the extent of his health struggles remained hidden until the very end. But the story of Gus Williams goes far beyond his sad ending. It's a tale of a uniquely gifted player whose electrifying style changed basketball, yet somehow remains in the shadows of NBA history. His journey from doubted prospect to NBA champion contains lessons about resilience, talent, and the fickle nature of basketball legacy. The NBA draft tells us a lot about how players are valued. When the Golden State Warriors selected Williams in the 1975 NBA draft, they weren't sure what they had. Despite being an All-American at USC and leading the Pac-8 in scoring with 21.2 points per game, Williams slipped to the second round as the 20th overall pick. Many teams had serious doubts about his playing style and whether it would translate to the pros. Players like Frank Olenek, Bob Bigelow, and Kevin Grevey were chosen ahead of him. Even the Warriors, the team that eventually drafted him, displayed hesitation. They used their first-round pick on Joe Bryant, father of Kobe Bryant, before taking a chance on Williams later. The Warriors' general manager Dick Vertlieb later admitted, "We got awfully lucky getting him in the second round." Vertlieb believed Williams never got to show his true potential in college because he wasn't in the right system. Other prominent teams also passed on Williams. The legendary Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics considered signing the young guard, but instead chose veteran Dave Bing. Auerbach reportedly said, "Once you sign a Dave Bing, you don't need a Gus Williams." In retrospect, this would prove to be a significant missed opportunity for the storied franchise. Even more telling, Jerry West of the Lakers reportedly doubted Williams would last more than 2 years in the league. This from a man known for his talent evaluation skills. Why all the skepticism? It was his speed and style of play. Williams played with what teammates called blinding speed in an era when NBA offenses were more structured and predicated on half-court execution. As Vertlieb put it, Gus has blinding speed, but most systems are not geared for that kind of speed. Most teams just run a different style. Williams was described as a dynamic score-first point guard at a time that kind of player wasn't a regularity in the professional game. Today, this style dominates the NBA, but in the mid-1970s, it raised questions about adaptability. Wally Walker, his future teammate in Seattle, vividly recalled Williams' unique abilities. He was lightning quick and fast, both, and he was a one-man fast break. He got the ball, and he weaved through traffic. He was just so fast. Vertlieb recognized something special, noting, "Gus Williams is a bird. He has to fly. You can't keep him under wraps." What Williams needed was a system that embraced his unique gifts rather than trying to constrain them. Williams quickly began proving the doubters wrong. He made an immediate impact with the Warriors, earning NBA All-Rookie First-Team honors in 1976 and finishing as runner-up for Rookie of the Year. He played 2 seasons with Golden State from 1975 to 1977, establishing himself as a rising talent. But it was in Seattle where the magic really happened. After becoming a free agent, Williams signed with the Supersonics in 1977. His arrival was described by some as an unheralded free agent signing. Little did they know what was coming. In Seattle, Williams formed an incredible backcourt partnership with Dennis Johnson, a renowned defender who also possessed considerable offensive talent. This duo would become the cornerstone of Seattle's rise to prominence and change Sonics history forever. The pinnacle came in the 1978-79 season. After narrowly losing to the Washington Bullets in the 1978 NBA Finals in a grueling 7-game series, Williams led the Sonics back to the championship stage with vengeance on their minds. This time, they dispatched the Bullets in 5 games to claim Seattle's first and only NBA championship. Williams was nothing short of sensational in those finals. He was the Sonics' leading scorer, averaging 29 points per game, while shooting efficiently from the field and consistently tormenting the Bullets' defense. In Game 3, he scored 31 points. In Game 4, he poured in 36 points to push Seattle to the brink of the title. In the decisive Game 5, he added 23 points to seal the championship. Throughout the 1979 playoffs, he averaged a remarkable 26.7 points per game, significantly elevating his play when the stakes were highest. This playoff performance cemented his reputation as a clutch performer who thrived under pressure. The championship solidified Williams' place among the league's elite guards, but his success wasn't limited to team achievements. His individual brilliance earned him significant recognition during his prime years with the Sonics. He was selected as an NBA All-Star twice in 1982 and 1983. In 1982, he received the prestigious honor of being named to the All-NBA First Team, a testament to his status as one of the league's elite players. This followed an All-NBA Second Team selection in 1980. These accolades firmly established him as one of the premier guards of his era, but then came a decision that would impact how history remembers him. During the 1980-81 season, Williams sat out the entire year due to a contract dispute with the Supersonics management. In an era where player empowerment was far less prevalent than today, this was a bold move that demonstrated his belief in his own value. His absence spoke volumes about his importance to the team. The Sonics, who had won 56 games in the 1979-80 season with Williams leading the charge, saw their win total plummet to just 34 in 1980 to 81 without him. This stark decline served as an undeniable demonstration of his immense value to the franchise. When he returned for the 1981-82 season, Williams was better than ever. His comeback was nothing short of spectacular. He averaged a career-high 23.4 points per game, along with 6.9 assists and 2.2 steals, leading the league in minutes played per game. His outstanding performance earned him the NBA Comeback Player of the Year award and his All-NBA First-Team selection. He also finished 5th in the voting for the league's Most Valuable Player award that season, further cementing his elite status. Over his 11-season career, spanning 825 regular season games with the Warriors, Supersonics, Washington Bullets, and Atlanta Hawks, Williams averaged 17.1 points, 5.6 assists, and 2 steals per game. The subsequent relocation of the Supersonics franchise from Seattle may have also dimmed the historical spotlight on its legends. And perhaps most importantly, his playing style was ahead of its time. His score-first, high-tempo approach from the point guard position wasn't common in the late 1970s and early 1980s. While exciting, it might not have been fully appreciated by all contemporary observers or fit neatly into traditional evaluations of point guard play at the time. Today, when score-first point guards dominate the NBA, Williams would be celebrated as a pioneer. When comparing Williams to Hall of Fame guards from his era, the differences are subtle. Dennis Johnson, his backcourt mate, who was posthumously inducted in 2010, had 3 championships, a Finals MVP, 5 All-Star selections, and 9 All-Defensive Team honors. Maurice Cheeks, inducted in 2018, had 4 All-Star appearances and 5 All-Defensive Team selections. Sidney Moncrief had 5 All-Star nods and was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Williams had the championship pedigree and offensive brilliance, but perhaps lacked the defensive accolades and sustained All-Star appearances of his contemporaries. Still, at his peak, he was certainly viewed as a player of significant league-wide impact, garnering MVP votes alongside these celebrated peers. In his final years, Williams faced his toughest opponent off the court. After suffering a stroke in February 2020, his health gradually deteriorated, requiring a move to an assisted care facility in Baltimore. The 5-year span between the initial stroke and his passing underscores the severity and protracted nature of his health challenges. During this difficult time, the basketball community stepped up. The Sonics Legends Fund, established to help former players with medical needs, provided support for Williams and his family as medical bills mounted. This involvement speaks to the enduring bonds forged during his years in Seattle and also sheds light on a broader issue: the financial and medical vulnerabilities that even celebrated former professional athletes can face post-retirement. He passed away surrounded by family, bringing a close to a life that touched many within and beyond basketball. Gus Williams' legacy is more than just statistics and awards. He was the Wizard, a nickname that perfectly captured the magic he brought to the court. His lightning-quick drives, flashy passes, and clutch performances made him a fan favorite and a nightmare for opponents. Teammates remembered not only his on-court brilliance, but also his positive energy and sense of humor, painting a picture of a charismatic individual who clearly loved the game. His story reminds us that greatness comes in many forms, and sometimes the most exciting players don't fit neatly into the traditional molds of their era. As basketball evolves and embraces speed and scoring from all positions, Williams's pioneering style looks more and more like he was simply ahead of his time. The Wizard may be gone, but the magic he created on those hardwood courts will never disappear for those who were lucky enough to witness it. Gus Williams was an original, a champion, and a basketball genius whose wizardry deserves to be remembered and celebrated. The sad end. Maurice Lucas passed away at just 58 years old. But the tragedy, that wasn't the full story. A champion on the court, a fighter by reputation, a criminal record kept quiet, a mentor in his final chapter. How did one of the NBA's most feared players live a life so misunderstood? Maurice Lucas died in Portland, Oregon on October 31, 2010. After years fighting bladder cancer, his body finally gave out. He was only 58. He had stepped down from his assistant coaching job with the Trailblazers in 2009 when the cancer made work impossible. The disease had taken its toll, stealing away his strength month by month. The funeral was packed with NBA legends. The city of Portland mourned. Flowers piled up outside the arena where his number 20 jersey hung in the rafters. Bill Walton, his former teammate, called him a towering pillar of supreme principle. Nate McMillan, who coached with Lucas, said he battled like a warrior, a fitting tribute for the man they called the Enforcer. But fans rarely spoke about the parts of his story that Lucas tried to keep in the shadows. Behind the tough guy image was a man with real flaws and deep regrets. The papers wrote about his championship. They wrote about his famous fights, but they didn't tell the full story of Maurice Lucas, the story of a man who rose, fell, and fought for redemption. His death marked the end of a complex journey. Born in Pittsburgh, raised tough, Lucas traveled a path far more complicated than most basketball fans ever knew. Lucas was drafted in 1974 by the Chicago Bulls with the 14th pick. Instead of joining the NBA right away, he chose the rival ABA League. It was his first big decision that shaped his career path. His college days at Marquette University had shown his potential. He led the team to the 1974 NCAA championship game, where they lost to North Carolina State. Lucas played all 40 minutes of that final game, scoring 21 points and grabbing 13 rebounds. With the Spirits of St. Louis, he quickly made a name for himself. In his rookie ABA season, he averaged 13.2 points and 10 rebounds, making the all-rookie second team. During the 1975-76 season with the Kentucky Colonels, Lucas was an ABA All-Star, posting impressive numbers, 17.0 points and 11.3 rebounds per game. His physical style of play set him apart even then. When the leagues merged in 1976, Portland picked him up. It would be the defining move of his basketball life. Lucas led the Blazers to their first and only NBA championship in 1977. His scoring and physical presence made Portland a force, but one moment in that championship run defined his entire career. During Game 2 of the NBA Finals against Philadelphia, Darryl Dawkins threw a punch that missed Bob Gross, but hit his own teammate, Doug Collins. As Dawkins ran up court, Lucas confronted him with an elbow to the head. Both players were ejected. Lucas was fined $2,500 for the incident. The money meant nothing compared to what happened next. The Blazers were down in the series, but Lucas's move flipped everything. Philadelphia never recovered. Portland won the next 4 games and took home the trophy. His teammates insisted Lucas wasn't a dirty player. He was protective. He guarded them on the court like family. Bill Walton was allowed to flourish because opponents knew they would answer to Lucas if they played too rough. But the media loved the conflict. They named him the Enforcer, and the label stuck. Lucas hated it. "I received more publicity from the Dawkins fight than my entire season's performance," Lucas once said. He felt his scoring and rebounding talents got buried under one brief moment of violence. That season, Lucas led Portland in scoring with 20.2 points per game. He also led in minutes played, field goals, free throws, and offensive rebounds. But people only remembered the fight. After Portland, Lucas bounced around the NBA, playing for 7 different teams. He went to the New Jersey Nets in 1980, traded for Calvin Natt, then to the New York Knicks in 1981 for Ray Williams. In Phoenix from 1982 to 1985, he helped the Suns reach the Western Conference Finals. With the Lakers, he hit a dramatic 60-foot buzzer beater against Utah. The shot sent the game to overtime, leading to a Lakers victory. It was a highlight rarely shown in his career reels. He spent a season with Seattle before returning to Portland for his final year in the NBA. Over 14 seasons, Lucas averaged 14.6 points and 9.1 rebounds per game. He made 5 All-Star appearances and earned All-NBA and All-Defensive honors. Then he returned to Portland for his final season in 1987-88. There was also his chilling encounter with a referee. During a game with replacement officials, Lucas got a technical foul. As the ref prepared to give him a second tech, which would mean ejection, Lucas gently touched the referee's whistle chain, looked him in the eyes, and quietly said, "You don't want to do that." The referee slowly took the whistle from his mouth and backed down. Lucas never said another word. Bill Walton called it the single most intimidating act in NBA history. This story revealed a different side of Lucas's enforcer role. It wasn't just physical, it was psychological. He didn't need to throw punches to control a situation. His presence was enough. In 1988, Lucas began working as an assistant coach for the Trail Blazers. His basketball knowledge and leadership made him a natural teacher. The transition seemed perfect. A hometown hero staying with the team he led to glory. Young players looked up to him. Fans still chanted his name. But just 3 years later, his life took a shocking turn that few saw coming. On November 13, 1991, Morris Lucas pleaded guilty to drug trafficking with a firearm. This wasn't a minor offense. It was a federal crime that carried serious prison time. The details were kept quiet. The media coverage was minimal. The man who once dominated headlines for his on-court heroics now faced his greatest challenge away from the spotlight. He was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. His plea agreement noted that the statutory 5-year term superseded federal sentencing guidelines. Lucas didn't appeal the initial sentence. Later, he tried to get his sentence reduced, filing a motion to vacate under 28 U.S.C. Section 225(5). His arguments included claims that the district court failed to determine his entitlement to a reduction for acceptance of responsibility. The motion was denied. This part of his life was rarely mentioned after he returned to the basketball world. The man who had been an NBA champion was now a convicted felon. For fans who only knew his on-court persona, this reality didn't fit the image. The Portland community that had embraced him now watched from a distance as their hero fell. His jersey still hung in the arena, but his reputation had been severely damaged. After this difficult chapter, Lucas worked hard to rebuild his life and reputation. He returned to coaching, rejoining the Blazers staff under Nate McMillan in 2005. The path back wasn't easy. Trust had to be rebuilt. Doubters had to be silenced. Lucas did it the only way he knew how, with determination and quiet dignity. In the Portland community, Lucas became known for his charity work. He organized celebrity events to raise money for children's care at Legacy Emmanuel Medical Center, a cause close to his heart since his own daughter had received treatment there as an infant. Even as cancer weakened his body, his focus turned to helping others. He was particularly concerned about youngsters who approached him wanting to punch people out. Lucas would tell them that violence was not the approach. The man once famous for his physical play now preached peace. The enforcer had become a peacemaker. In his final years, as cancer ate away at his strength, Lucas continued mentoring young players. He stepped down from coaching in 2009, but his influence remained. After his death, his family established the Maurice Lucas Foundation in 2011. What began as a simple basketball program grew into a comprehensive support system for underserved youth in Portland. Today, the foundation offers academic support, mentoring, and scholarships to students. Every kid in the program receives $5,000 for education, and some even get full college scholarships. The foundation's approach is holistic, centered on 7 pillars: goal setting, integrity, leadership, respect, hard work, personal responsibility, and positivity. These values represent the man Lucas became, not just the player he was. His son David leads the foundation, turning his father's troubled journey into a roadmap for helping others avoid similar mistakes. The foundation primarily serves students of color and low-income families, providing not just educational support, but also assistance with basic needs like food, healthcare, transportation, and housing. What started as one man's redemption story has grown into a movement helping hundreds of Portland kids find their way. The legend that hangs in people's memories is the Enforcer, the man who struck fear into opponents and changed a championship series with one confrontation. Few remember the complete Maurice Lucas, the father who worried about his family, the prisoner who sought redemption, the coach who mentored young players, the community leader who wanted to make a difference. His number 20 jersey hangs in the rafters at Portland's arena, but his full story has largely remained untold. Maurice Lucas was a man of contrasting moods and contradictions, quiet and sensitive off the court, fierce and intimidating on it. He smiled easily for teammates and children, but displayed a terrifying glare to opponents. He was born in Pittsburgh, played college ball at Marquette, became a star in the ABA, a champion in the NBA, a felon in the courts, and finally a mentor in Portland. His life was not a straight line of success, but a winding path of triumphs and failures. Maurice Lucas fought for every inch on the court, but the biggest fight of his life was for redemption. If this story hit you hard, hit that subscribe button. We've got more. The tragic death of Pete Maravich is truly horrifying, especially with how closely it lined up with his own words. It's almost like he predicted exactly how and when it would happen. The way everything played out makes it even more shocking. Honestly, it's one of the most unbelievable and chilling deaths you'll ever hear about. Maravich's death is one of those stories that almost feels too strange to be real. He passed away on January 5th, 1988, while doing something he loved, playing a simple pickup basketball game with friends at the First Church of the Nazarene in Pasadena, California. One moment he was running up and down the court, the next he collapsed. No warning, no chance to say goodbye. The immediate cause of death was ruled as heart failure. But when doctors dug deeper with an autopsy, they found something shocking. Pete had been living his entire life with a rare congenital heart defect. He was born without a left coronary artery. In a normal heart, 2 coronary arteries deliver blood to the heart muscle, but Pete only had one, his right coronary artery, and it had been working overtime, compensating all those years without anyone ever realizing it. It's honestly incredible that he played at such a high level for so long without ever showing obvious signs that something was wrong. And while the medical explanation clears up how his heart gave out, there's a part of the story that makes it even more eerie, something that almost feels like it was written by fate itself. Back in 1974, when Pete was just 26 years old, he gave an interview to Andy Newso of the Beaver County Times. During that conversation, Pete said something that would later send chills down the spines of everyone who remembered it. He said, "I don't want to play 10 years in the NBA and die of a heart attack at age 40. At the time, nobody thought much of it. Maybe it was just a young man speaking his mind. Maybe it was just one of those throwaway comments." But after Pete's death, that quote resurfaced, and it was impossible to ignore how perfectly it matched his real life. Pete ended up playing exactly 10 seasons in the NBA, retiring in 1980. And just as he had said, he died at the age of 40 from heart failure. The way his words lined up with reality has led many to wonder, was it just a chilling coincidence? Or was it some kind of premonition he somehow felt deep down? Of course, not everyone believes it was only the heart defect that led to his early death. Some point to another part of Pete's life that doesn't get talked about as much, his struggles with alcohol. In the later years of his life, Pete openly admitted that during his younger days he had turned to drinking as a way to cope with the pressures and pain he faced. Some believe that those years of substance abuse could have weakened his body even further, making it even harder for his already fragile heart to keep going. But now as we look back and remember him, maybe it's the perfect time to go back to where it all began, to the start of his incredible basketball journey. When Pete Maravich made the jump to the NBA, it didn't take long for the world to realize they were watching someone special. The Atlanta Hawks selected him with the 3rd overall pick in the 1970 NBA draft. Right away, he landed in an interesting situation. Atlanta already had a great scorer at the guard spot in Lou Hudson, and the team had a more traditional, conservative style of play, especially with stars like Hudson and Walt Bellamy leading the way. Maravich's flashy moves and creative flair were completely different from what the team was used to. On top of that, a lot of the veteran players weren't exactly thrilled about the massive $1.9 million contract Pete signed, a fortune for an NBA player at the time. Still, Maravich didn't let the outside noise get in his way. In his rookie year, he played in 81 games and averaged an impressive 23.2 points per game, earning a spot on the NBA All-Rookie team. Even more importantly, he found a way to make it work with his teammates. Lou Hudson had the best scoring season of his career that year, thanks in part to Pete's presence. But despite all the offensive firepower, the Hawks finished with a disappointing 36-46 record, 12 wins fewer than the previous season. They still made the playoffs, but they didn't get far, losing to the New York Knicks in the first round. Maravich held his own, though, averaging 22 points during that playoff series. Pete's second season wasn't as smooth. His scoring average dropped to 19.3 points per game, and once again, the Hawks finished 36-46, barely sneaking into the playoffs. They were eliminated early again, but Maravich had a strong showing against the Boston Celtics, putting up 27.7 points per game in that series. Everything clicked for Maravich in his 3rd season. He exploded for 26.1 points per game, ranking 5th in the league, and also handed out 6.9 assists a night, good for 6th. Pete and Lou Hudson both scored over 2,000 points that year. Only the second time in NBA history, two teammates had done that in a single season. Atlanta improved to 46-36, but once again, they couldn't make a deep playoff run. Still, Maravich's incredible season earned him his first trip to the NBA All-Star Game and a spot on the All-NBA second team. The 1973-74 season brought even bigger numbers for Maravich. He averaged 27.7 points per game, second only to Bob McAdoo. He made another All-Star Game appearance, starting for the Eastern Conference and scoring 15 points. But even with Pete's heroics, the Hawks struggled. They finished 35-47 and missed the playoffs entirely. Tension between Maravich and head coach Cotton Fitzsimmons grew, leading to a 2-game suspension for Pete during the season. It became clear that it was time for a change. That summer, a brand new NBA team, the New Orleans Jazz, was getting ready for its first season. They needed a star to excite the fans, and who better than Louisiana's own Pete Maravich? The Jazz made a huge trade, sending 2 players and 4 draft picks to Atlanta to bring Pistol Pete back to his college home. The early days with the Jazz weren't easy. The team struggled badly, finishing their first season with a league-worst 23-59 record. Maravich did his best, averaging 21.5 points per game, but he shot a career-low 41.9% from the field. In the 1975-76 season, the Jazz started to show signs of life. Management worked hard to give Pete better teammates, and they improved to a 38-44 record. It still wasn't enough to reach the playoffs, but it was a step forward. Maravich battled injuries that season and played in only 62 games. But when he was on the court, he was electric, averaging 25.9 points per game, good for third in the league behind McAdoo and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. His efforts earned him a spot on the All-NBA first team. The 1976-77 season was Maravich at his absolute best. He led the entire NBA in scoring, pouring in 31.1 points per game. He had 13 games where he scored 40 points or more, and 4 games where he dropped over 50 points. His 68-point masterpiece against the New York Knicks was the highest scoring game ever by a guard at that time, only topped by legends like Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor. Ironically, Baylor was coaching the Jazz during that very game. Even with all of Pete's heroics, the Jazz once again fell short of the playoffs, finishing 35-47. Maravich kept earning personal accolades, making his 3rd All-Star game and another All-NBA first team, but the lack of team success weighed heavily. Worse, injuries began to take their toll. The next season, knee problems forced him to miss 32 games. Despite that, Pete still averaged 27 points and 6.7 assists per game. The arrival of Truck Robinson helped take some pressure off Maravich, and the Jazz narrowly missed the playoffs with a 39-43 record. It felt like they were close, but fate had other plans. The injuries never really let up after that. In the 1978-79 season, Maravich played in only 49 games. He still made the All-Star team, but his scoring dipped to 22.6 points per game, and it was clear he wasn't the same player. Meanwhile, the Jazz were falling apart both on and off the court, facing serious financial problems. In desperation, they traded away Truck Robinson, and in 1979, the franchise packed up and moved to Salt Lake City, becoming the Utah Jazz. Pete went with the team to Utah, but it was obvious his career was nearing its end. His knees were in terrible shape. He could barely practice. And new coach Tom Nasalki had a rule that players who didn't practice couldn't play in games. Maravich found himself stuck on the bench for 24 straight games, a heartbreaking sight for Jazz fans and for Pete himself. During that time, Adrian Dantley rose to stardom, and Maravich's role faded even further. In January 1980, the Jazz placed Maravich on waivers. The Boston Celtics picked him up, giving Pete one last shot at glory. With Boston, he found a new role coming off the bench as a scoring spark. Playing alongside rookie sensation Larry Bird, Maravich helped the Celtics finish with the league's best record, 61-21. For the first time in years, he was back in the playoffs, but Boston lost to Julius Erving and the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference Finals. Knowing his body couldn't keep going, Maravich retired at the end of the season. Fittingly, his final NBA season came just as the league introduced the three-point line, a shot he would have dominated had it existed earlier. Even with limited chances, he made 10 of his 15 three-point attempts, finishing with an incredible 66.7% mark. Over his 10-year NBA career, Pete Maravich played 658 games, averaging 24.2 points and 5.4 assists per game. In 1987, he was rightfully inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. His jersey numbers have been retired by both the Jazz and the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Atlanta Hawks honored his legacy as well by retiring his number 44. In 2021, The Athletic ranked him as the 73rd greatest player in NBA history, a lasting tribute to a player who was truly one of a kind. That's all from us for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you again soon. Bye.